Malt-O-Meal in honor of the big Washington County Fair that's coming up this weekend.
Good
morning. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, so Malt-O-Meal. First of all, what is Malt-O-Meal? I don't even know.
I get that question so often when I talk about Malt-O-Meal. Malt-O-Meal is a cereal manufacturer that provides today's family with an economical alternative to the big box brand of cereals.
So it's actually a brand.
It's a brand. Malt-O-Meal is the manufacturer. I have here an example of their cereal Raisin Bran, which is of course the equivalent to post-Raisin Bran. Not hard to figure that one out. But not only is this economically friendly for today's family, it's eco-friendly as well. If you think about the boxes of cereal that you buy, they have a box and a bag inside. We're cutting out the box with the Malt-O-Meal, and it actually produces 75% less waste than a traditional box of cereal.
You know, I never realized how many boxes till I started recycling them, and you're right, it's a lot.
It's a lot of cardboard.
It is.
It is.
Okay, so it can be all different kinds of cereals?
Absolutely. We're going to use 3 different kinds of Malt-O-Meal cereal today in the menu that we're making. I like to call it a Malt-O menu that we're making today. We're going to make a breakfast muffin, an entree, and a dessert, all with our Malt-O-Meal product.
Awesome. Okay, and the fair, are you going back this year?
I am going back this year. I am not allowed to enter Malt-O-Meal because I won last year, but I am entering a few other contests. So if you come out to the fair this Saturday for the cooking contest, stop by the cooking tent and say hello, and hopefully I'll bring home some blue ribbons this year.
Good deal. Good stuff. All right, so what are we making now?
Well, the first thing we're going to make is our breakfast muffin, which I call a Malt-O muffin, and it starts out like most of our everyday breakfasts do. We have here some cereal that I've soaked in some milk. And
the Raisin Bran that you were talking about.
The Raisin Bran that I was talking about. I have about 1.5 cups of Raisin Bran mixed with 3/4 cup of milk. And I've allowed it to soak for about 3 minutes because I want the cereal to get kind of soft. This actually looks like I could have pulled it from my breakfast table this morning, because this is what my kids leave from their breakfast.
Can it be low fat, high fat? Doesn't matter what kind of milk?
Absolutely, you can use fat-free milk. Absolutely.
Cool.
And to it, we're going to add 1 pouch. This is a 7-ounce pouch of apple cinnamon muffin mix. If you don't like apple cinnamon, you can use any pouch muffin mix.
Oh, okay, cool. That's easy.
And 1/2 cup of dried cranberries. Also, if you don't like dried cranberries, feel free to use any dried fruit that you like. And 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts. And we're just going to mix this together. And that's as simple as a Malt-O muffin is.
Wow.
And you can see we didn't add any fat to this, so it's a very healthy muffin as well. I mean, you have your cereal, your milk, you have your fiber from the dried cranberries, you have your protein from the walnuts. So I think this is a great breakfast to send off with your kids when they start school in a few weeks.
And were any of these recipes your winning recipes from last year?
Nope. I just made these up this year. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to enter, but you know, I was feeling inspired. So we're just gonna scoop this into our muffin pans. And I like those really fancy looking bakery type muffins that you know, are big and fluffy and shiny. And I find the way to get that is to use a scoop, like I have here, to make sure that all your muffins are the same size. And to get that nice shiny gloss that bakery muffins have, I like to sprinkle them with a little bit of raw brown sugar.
That's where
And then we'll bake them for about, absolutely. We'll bake them at 425 for about 18 to 20 minutes until they're nice and golden and fluffy.
And there they are.
And there they are, our Malt-O muffins.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we got breakfast with our
Malt-O
Malt-O meal.
Let's make some lunch. We're going to make crispy chicken dippers with our Malt-O-Meal cereal honey and oat blenders, which is equivalent to honey bunches of oats. Pretty simple to figure that one out. So I have here about 2 cups of honey and oat blenders that I crushed in my food processor. And I'm going to add to it 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese and 2 tablespoons of flour.
Yum.
And I like to mix this in a pie plate just because it kind of gives you some, you know, surface to work in. And you can get your hands dirty. And we have a little guest in the audience today that would probably love to help with this. And I know that kids love to get their hands dirty in the kitchen too.
These are basically going to be chicken fingers.
Exactly, chicken fingers. So I have here some chicken tenderloins, about 1 pound of chicken breast that I'm going to give a little dip in my egg. And then a dip in the breading.
These are so easy.
Give it a coat. And you know what? You can either bake these in the oven at about 350 for 18 to 20 minutes, or just saute them. I have here some olive oil that I'm going to saute them in. But they're very unassuming. You know, when you look at them, I have some finished ones over there. They look just like normal chicken fingers, but when you eat them, you get a little bit of sweetness from the honey. Go ahead, absolutely. You get a little bit of sweetness from the honey and a little bit of crunch from the nuts that are in them. Isn't it different?
It is.
Yes. So, you know, make them for your kids. You got some leftover cereal in the cupboard? You might as well give it a shot.
And you're showing it with something to dip it in if you want.
Absolutely. I have some honey mustard and some barbecue sauce. Whatever you like.
I like that. It is a little different. I'm so used to I don't know, I get bored with the same old thing every time, the same old breaded chicken.
Absolutely. So I'm going to wipe my hands off here since I was touching raw chicken before we move to our Malt-O dessert, which I have called a chocolate raspberry tart. And the reason I've called it that is because the Malt-O-Meal cereal we are using is called Cocoa Ruse, and it's equivalent to Cocoa Puffs, very kid-friendly as well. So what I've done is I've, in my food processor once again, combined 3 cups of the Cocoa Ruse with half a cup of almonds, and I processed it till it's very, very fine.
Nice.
To it, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar and a half of a cup of melted butter. Excuse my reach.
Yep.
And this is going to make our crust. Yeah. And it's going to be a little bit...
There's something nice about a homemade crust.
I agree.
You took out a few of the extra difficult steps with the Malt-O-Meal cereal, but still homemade.
You can buy a pre-made crust in the store, but when it's this easy, you know, why not just do it yourself? Yeah. So you can see I'm making a little bit of a mess here.
That's okay.
But you can put this either into a pie plate like I have here, or a tart pan like I have one that I've already made. So let's just go to the pretty one.
Okay, so after you mix it all up and press it down, this is what it's going to look like here?
Absolutely. And we're going to bake it in the oven at 325 for about 7 to 8 minutes until it's firm and lightly browned.
Just the crust. All right, cool. Do you want this?
I do want that. Thank you. So now that our crust is done, let's make our filling. Our filling, we have probably my favorite filling ingredient here, 8 ounces of cream cheese that has been softened.
Yum.
And to it, excuse my reach again, we're going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar.
Okay. How do you come up with all these?
Well, I like to cook, and this is going to make a mess when I turn it on. I like to cook, and I love to experiment with new things. And, you know, last year when I entered the Malt-O-Meal contest, I was really inspired by all of the different things that you could do with cereal, things that I never even thought of. And
like,
you know,
what kind of things were surprising?
Like the chicken, for example, was very surprising to me. I would never think to combine, you know, cereal into chicken, or even the muffins. You know, how simple just to add cereal to a pouch of muffin mix and have it taste delicious. So. Yeah, you know, I just like to play around, and, you know, some are good, some are bad. Fortunately, here on TV, we don't see all the bad ones.
Does it take a lot of trial and error to get the right, I don't know, composition?
Yeah, you know, usually I find in my kitchen, once I make something once, I can tell if it's going to be a disaster or if it has potential. So if it has potential, I'll usually try one more time.
Tweak it again,
my family can tell you stories about that. But anyway, so I'm also going to mix in 2 tablespoons of raspberry preserves. Because as I said, this is a chocolate raspberry tart.
Yes, I gotcha.
And you know what, if you don't like raspberries, you can certainly substitute some other fruit as well.
Sure,
you can
there's
use
so many different kinds of jams.
Absolutely, you can use blueberries or cherries or strawberries. And Malt-O-Meal actually makes one of my favorite brands of Malt-O-Meal cereal is called is blueberry muffin tops, and it has an awesome blueberry taste. So to my filling, I'm going to add half of a container. That's about 4 ounces of Cool Whip.
Yummy. This is looking good.
Yes, and I'm going to put a rush on it here because I want us to see this come together.
And so you're going back to the fair this year, entering the competitions. What's it like for people coming to watch the cooking competitions?
Yes, well, the cooking competitions start on Saturday at 9 a.m. out at the Washington County Fairgrounds. You can go onto their website for more information on the fair. But there's lots of cooking contests and exhibitions. You can see who all the winners were. And my favorite part is the fair food.
I think, well, all the regular fair food as well. And then you can get ideas too, I'm sure, from all these cooking ideas.
So for the topping of my tart, I have here 12 ounces of fresh raspberries, and I'm going to mix it with 3 tablespoons of melted raspberry preserves. And that's going to give our raspberries just a beautiful gloss, a beautiful shine. I like to call it a fruit lacquer because it almost makes them look like fake berries.
Oh,
if you ever see those gorgeous tarts in the bakery, that's what they do. They coat them with a raspberry preserves or any sort of fruit preserves. So I'm just going to coat them in that and then gingerly place them on top of my tart so that they look beautiful. Cool. And I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to do this quickly. But yeah, you know, if you have some time this weekend, come on out to the fair. I'll be out there, so stop by and say hello. You'll get to taste some awesome recipes from the recipe contest and hopefully get some inspiration yourself.
That looks awesome. Look at that gorgeous dessert right there. Thank you so much,
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.